Welcome into another exciting edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith, unfortunately, this time around, we got to talk about the Sixers' first loss of the season. What happened on that final play? We'll break it all down on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, so head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. Keith Pompey, Marc Barzetta. Keith, my overall takeaway from last night, you don't want to lose a game the way you lost it last night. Now, I know, look, let me just get this out of the way for the people that need to hear it. They're not going to win every game. They're not going to go 82-0. They're not going to come back every time they're down. They're down 24 points midway through the second quarter. They fight back to tie it at 72 midway through the third. Wheels fall off a little bit, but they bounce back. They're in a position to win the game, not once, Keith, but twice at the end of the game. Tyrese Maxey can't hit the floater. And then I don't know what the hell happened at the end. What was the play with Quentin Grimes? Looked like he got a little gun shy, a little skittish moment, a little too big for him. What happened on that last play with Grimes in the backcourt, Maxey trying to flash to the ball, Embiid popping out to the perimeter? What were they trying to do on that last play?
Well, it was weird because they had like various options. Like they had Joel coming off of a flare screen, Maxey coming off of kind of like a pin down, right? And VJ Edgecombe was heading to the basket. And you know, Tyrese and VJ got hung up a little bit, just slightly. You know, obviously there was a couple guys open, and Q just didn't handle it cleanly. Like he just fumbled the ball a little bit. I think when they kind of sort of trapped him a little bit, he like rushed, and then he just slung the ball to Joel Embiid, who was a little long on the 3-point attempt. And you know, Nick Nurse was talking about, hey, we had all the right people in there doing what we're doing. We just didn't come through with it. But yeah, it was a bad play. But you know, Mark, though, I mean, that was horrible. But to me, where they really messed up was, and I know they fought back, and the Sixers keep doing this over and over again, getting in big lead, getting in huge deficits, and then battling back, and typically it happens in the third quarter. But I think the game was really lost in the first quarter when they were down, what was it, like 38-25 after one quarter? Yeah. And I think they went on to outscore them like 81-72, you know, afterwards. But it's just, you can't keep burying yourself in deep holes and then keep trying to come back. Like, you just can't do that. And that's what killed them. It was actually 83. They outscored them 83-71 over the final three quarters. You can't do that.
The other thing was, and when this happens, obviously I don't like it, what it means for, you know, how you're playing a team defensively. But Boston was shooting 61% from the floor in the first quarter. And it was like everything they're throwing up is going in. I know they look like they're going to run away with this one, but sooner or later they're going to come back down to earth, and that's when the Sixers are going to go on their run. They did a little bit, and the Sixers actually won the second half. Not that that matters, but just saying it was an improved style of play. The thing that got to me were the turnovers. This game looked like the first game that they had ever played together, which is odd because the first game that they did play together against Boston, they looked for the most part like they were on the same page. This game looked like there was miscues, obviously leading the turnovers, thinking a guy was cutting one way, he wasn't, and you're throwing the ball away, it goes out of bounds, goes the other way. Like, there were just things that went on throughout this game where they were a little bit more discombobulated than I would have expected, considering how much on the same page they had been through the previous 4 games of the season. Keith, did they look a little, I don't know, off step, off beat to you in this one?
Yeah, they did. I mean, it looked kind of discombobulated at times. You know what it looked like to me? It looked like, you know, all the stuff that they said they were going to do. I mean, I think the 76ers are playing 2 different styles. They're playing one way when Joel Embiid is out of the game, and then they're playing a different way when he's in the game. And if you notice, they're talking about we're going to move the ball a lot. It's typically just one pass when Joel's in there, and then you go forward. And then guys are trying to know, like, well, do I give this person the ball, give them someone else the ball, and then next thing you know, there's a turnover. So to me, I just feel like the 76ers, they got to figure out how they want to play. They just do. I mean, because like you said, this game, there was a lot of turnovers. Last game, when they played Washington, it was kind of like the ball stuck a lot. So it just seems like early on, the first 2 games or the first 3 games, we saw an identity. And now it looks like they're trying to go in different directions. Like, you know what I mean? So that leads to the turnovers. That leads to the missed shots. That leads to VJ Edgecombe only getting 1 shot in the 4th quarter. Like, the 76ers got to figure something out and find out what they're trying to do.
Yeah. How do you mesh these 2 things together? It's almost like you hired 2 architects to build you a building, and they're both on completely opposite ends of the spectrum. That building's going to come down eventually. Like, how does Nick Nurse crack the code on this? Because it does seem like you start out one way, or you're playing one way with Joel Embiid playing the first 6 minutes of the first quarter. Then they take him out, and then all of a sudden you hit turbo, and things, not just in transition, but everywhere, just look faster, quicker, more efficient, all that. Then Embiid comes back in the game, things slow down, and if they do get to a fast pace, you see Maxey under the basket by the time Joel Embiid's coming into frame, just getting to the 3-point line, essentially, trying to get back on defense. So how does Nick Nurse crack the code in how this is going to work over an 82-game schedule, or 55 games that Joel Embiid played, 60 games that Joel Embiid might play? How does he kind of mesh all this together? And the other thing is, can he mesh it together?
Well, I think it's imperative for the point guards, and I'm talking about Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, to be a little bit more selfish. And what I mean by that is, it's like, because you see, when Embiid's not in the game, they get out and go, and it's gone, right? When Embiid's in the game, it's kind of like they're slowing up a little bit because they're trying to get him incorporated into the offense, right? Well, it comes to a point where you just got to shoot the box. I mean, you got to just go, you just got to go wire to wire, be a little bit more selfish, and take care of your game. You know what I mean? Because, like, when we look at it, the time that they played at their best was when those 2 guys were basically scoring a lot of points and taking over games. That often happens when Joel's not in the game. But at the same time, when Joel is in there, sometimes you got to act like he's not. And I hate to say that, because what I'm saying is, like, when they're in the transition, we always know that he's the one trailing, right? But what do you do when he's not trailing, when he's not in there? You just go straight to the cup, and you blow him by people. Well, you got to do that and get yourself established. And then there are certain times when you're in that half-court set or wherever, and Joel has a mismatch, then you go to him. But to me, I just feel like, they got to be a little bit more selfish, because the one thing we know about Joel, he's going to shoot the ball. He's going to shoot it. So it's not like it's swinging like it was, in that one preseason game and like it was in the scrimmage. So, he's going to get his shots. Y'all just got to get y'all's.
There was one part, and I agree with what you said. There's one part, though, Keith, that I really thought the Sixers were going to win it, and it wasn't when they had their second to last possession, when Maxey unfortunately couldn't convert that floater, jump, whatever you want to call it, jump shot. They missed the free throw. Celtics missed the free throw. Sixers get it back, and then the Grimes play happens, unfortunately. But there was a moment where I really thought they were going to win this game, and that was when Bona went on his, I guess, his normal, I don't know, blocking path. I don't know what to call it, where he just blocking frenzy. There you go. And he was just rejecting shots left and right. Sixers were able to convert them. And then I think there was 1 3, and I'm in no way blaming Maxey for this, but there's 1 3 that I thought if Maxey hit it, that would have been a wrap. But he couldn't hit that one particular three, and Boston ended up establishing about a 7 or 8 point lead again. And then the Sixers, of course, fought their way back in to make it a 1 point game. They never led in this game. And I thought that fourth quarter, especially early on when Bonus started blocking those shots and they started getting points at it, I thought they were finally going to get their first lead, and it just didn't happen. That one really big shot wasn't converted throughout the entire night. And it's the first time this season where a comeback, despite it being from 24 points, a comeback just wasn't in the cards for them. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about those turnovers, about trying to get more on the same page. I also want to, of course, a little bit later talk about shoehorning Joel Embiid into all this, because you look at the stat line with Joel Embiid, and the stat line looks good, but this is where you encourage people to really start looking more at the eye test than anything with numbers. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. And right now, let me tell you about Robinhood and how fantastic Robinhood is. Ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to all Robinhood is offering. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, but every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, your personal record, of course. Also, personal best, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. And now I'm going to tell you about a great offer from DoorDash and how great DoorDash is. NBA season heating up. DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the Bag Drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're taking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you'll actually want. I love that it's not just food. It's just about everything. When you talk about everything from snacks to drinks, headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered. DoorDash has you covered on late night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel ups. So next time someone goes off for 50 points in the game, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off your DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only. 50% up to $10 a day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. So, Keith, how's this work? Nick Nurse, obviously, you can't get guys to just not give the basketball away. That just comes to bad decision-making on the floor. Was there one thing you could put your finger on, or a couple of things you could look at in this game that led to so many turnovers and so many opportunities for the Celtics to cash in on?
I mean, I just felt like, well, I think at one point there was a time where they were just playing physical with them, but I also think the Sixers were rushing to try to make plays happen. Guys were kind of a little bit disjointed. It's like, I mean, I think they play a lot of different ways, but you got to give the Celtics credit. I mean, you do have Derek White and Jaylen Brown was going out there trying to do certain things. But the thing about when you play with up tempo, a lot of times, and you got a lot of guys out there that's trying to do too much, you're going to turn the ball over. You are. Now, Maxey had 5 turnovers, which is uncustomary for him.
Yeah.
But I do kind of think that Boston just put the clamps on them. Here's the deal. The last time they played each other, they played them. It was all about Maxey and VJ Edgecombe dominate. They were getting steals. They were doing a lot of different things. It looked like the Sixers really didn't make any adjustments. It looked like Boston made a lot of adjustments. They were like, okay, we're going to let Joel Embiid beat us. Like we're going to try to get physical with you guys and try to get the ball out of your hands. And they committed turnovers. They also made shots. And I think that had a lot to do with it. But that's part of the problem. They have to do a better job with ball handling. This is probably one of those times, and some of the passes were just errant. But this is a time when you look at it and you say to yourself that if you had a pure point guard, a guy who can run the offense, then you wouldn't have as many miscues, if that makes sense. You just wouldn't have it, And so I think that had a lot to do with it, right, in that instance.
There's no one on this team that is going to emerge as that true point guard. I can't imagine adding somebody like that even at the trade deadline to this team and trying to shoehorn that in. And look, the trade deadline is months away, so it's not even a thought really. But you knew going into it that this was going to be a struggle, and I think this was the game that caught up to him. We're not having that true facilitator, that true point guard. You have VJ Edgecombe bringing the ball up. You have Trenton Watford at time bringing the ball up. Quentin Grimes, Tyrese Maxey, obviously. The one thing I also look at after the game last night was the fact that caught up with them. The one true facilitator wasn't there for him, and it ended up the 76ers conceding 25 points off the turnovers, off the 18 turnovers, which isn't that bad when you have 18 turnovers, but still that's 25 points. That's opportunities that you're giving the Celtics. The other thing that jumped out at me, which was a little bit more surprising, with Joel Embiid, with Adem Bono, with Andre Drummond, with Jabari Walker, was the turnover, or not the turnover, excuse me, the offensive rebounds. I don't know how many times the Sixers, especially in that fourth quarter, when they were trying to get something together, third quarter, trying to get something together, they were allowing second chance points, third chance points. And even if they weren't converting on a second chance or a third chance, that's still another possession. That's time off the clock that the Celtics are taking away. There was one possession where the Sixers allowed the Celtics to take 3 threes in one possession. They missed them all, fortunately, but that's an opportunity when the Sixers are scratching and clawing to try to come back into this game. That's an opportunity they should have to run down the other end of the court. The rebounding to me jumped out as well as far as allowing those second and third chance points to the Celtics. What was going on when it came to what the Sixers were trying to do under the boards?
Well, first of all, they really missed Dominic Barlow because when we look at it, they did.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Yeah.
So, like, the Celtics had a 16-9 advantage in offensive rebounds, and it's crazy because the Celtics only out-rebounded the Sixers 45-40. I mean, although it appeared much wider, right, the margin. But here's the deal. Like, think about it. The first time the 76ers played Boston, within the first 6 minutes, Don Barlow was like Captain Save-A-Day on missed shots. You know what I mean? He was like, you know what I mean? He had 3 offensive boards in like the first 6 minutes. One of them was for a pit back, and then he got fouled, so he got an and one. He had a couple steals. He had this and that. And you look at it, and you were right. Like the Boston Celtics, they were like hitting threes. Oh, let me get the rebound, turn around, see who's open, pass the ball. Then all of a sudden, I'm going to do it again, get the rebound. Whereas the Sixers, they had a lot of one-shot possessions. And it was like they would shoot the ball, and then next thing you know, they're going back the other end. So I'm looking at it like, they're not getting grabbing any rebounds. Drummond was in there. But at the same time, what Barlow does is he crashes the boards. He gets in there, he gets in position. He's athletic enough to run around and grab like the rebounds that go long, you know what I mean, in the like near the elbow and all that. So they didn't have him, man, and it's starting to show because they just don't have those type of players. Now you got a bunch of guards. You have Drummond. You have Bona, Embiid, he's been like out of position a lot lately. There was one time where like they tried to put him in the game late to get a rebound, but he got boxed out, right? So, it's just, to me, the rebounding was atrocious. Now, 45-40 doesn't sound that bad, but like you said, there was a time when, especially in the third quarter, where they were just getting every offensive board, talking about Boston, and the Sixers couldn't get any stops. And then they had quick possession. So they have to address that. But I'm telling you, not having Don Barlow really hurt them. And I know some people are like, come on, Keeper, you talking about a two-way dude. Yeah, but have you seen how that two-way dude has been a beast on the boards for them in their first two games?
By the way, it was a total of 16 offensive rebounds the Boston Celtics had. The Sixers in this one only had 9 offensive rebounds. So, yeah, that's some opportunities right there. Now, the other part of this was, at that moment, just looking back on my notes here, the moment I'm talking about here where Boston missed 3 threes in one trip down the court, it ended up being Maxey to Grimes, I think, for that long outlet layup to Grimes. But Embiid had just been taken out of the game, I believe. Oh, no, Embiid was just put back into the game. And like you said, getting boxed out, unable to corral rebound. Bona went out at that point when Embiid came back in. And this is, again, in the fourth quarter, where you're trying to lock up a comeback, essentially. And at the time, I think it was a 98-92 Boston lead. And Embiid had just made 3 free throws that when he got fouled beyond the arc there. Where they reviewed it, thinking that they caught that he kicked the other guy in the hibbity-dibbity on purpose, and then he didn't, obviously. But he ended up making 3 free throws right after that. That's a moment where you want a guy like Joel Embiid to go in there and grab that rebound, and even he was unable to do it. When we come back, I want to get into Embiid and just as far as where you think he is health-wise, an uptick in minutes for the second consecutive game, another 20-point game for him. So we'll talk about that as well. But just the physical factor, the physicality factor of Joel Embiid, where he's at right now. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. And right now it's time to tell you about FanDuel. Oh, man, get in on all the action with FanDuel, and what a great time FanDuel is. Head over to FanDuel.com. Download the FanDuel app at FanDuel.com. Make your first $5 bet, and if it hits, you get $300 in bonus bets on the FanDuel app. Even if you missed the start of a game, by the way, on FanDuel, and you want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Sounds like the 76ers. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, no matter what, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, once again, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game at FanDuel.com, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That's FanDuel at FanDuel.com. 25 minutes, Keith. He's gone from 20 to 23 to 25. Well, he's gone from 20 to a day off to 23, 25. 20-point games now for Joel Embiid seem to be a norm over his last 3 games. Good for him. But I really urge people to look at him on the court, not just look at the box score, and say, is this guy 100%? And if he's not 100%, when will he be 100%? Or is this just 100% of what he is now, if you get what I'm saying? What do you make of Joel Embiid so far through 4 games this season as to what he's been able to do physically on the court, getting up and down the floor, trying to jump higher than a credit card? What are you making of Joel Embiid and where he's at in this point?
It's tough because, he started off shooting the ball pretty well in the beginning. And then all of a sudden it was like he started missing and struggling, right, a little bit. He ended up shooting 6 for 14, which isn't bad. He was 1 for 3 on threes. But a lot of his points came from the foul line. He went 7 for 7. He did have 6 rebounds. He had 4 assists, right? But he also had 4 turnovers. It's just one of those things where when you look at them right now, and the one thing you said is a question. You know, is this a matter of Joel having to ramp up, so to speak, or get used to playing, and then things will come back? Or is this who he is? And, you know, right now, I get it. The points are 20 points in 25 minutes. He had 25 points in 23 minutes a couple days ago. But it's what's happening on the defensive end. You know, like he was a +2 this game, which is typically good for him because the last couple ones he's been in the minus. But at the same time, you know, they do give away something when he's on the floor. I do feel like, and we talked about this, they were talking about how they want to have a free flowing offense. Well, if you notice, a lot of his stuff was two-man game. No matter who he passed the ball to, he wanted the ball right back, right? And he wanted to like post up. He wanted to do other things. And to me, it's kind of like, you know, him playing that way is that I know that's the style he used to play, but at the same time, it's slowing up what the Sixers are doing. It's taking away from their athleticism, and those are the things that gives them an advantage. And it's too much standing around talking about a la VJ Edgecombe, trying to watch and see what Joel's going to do. You know, I don't really like it. I just don't. And it sounds like what are you talking about, Pompey? Maxey had 16 shots. Joel Embiid had 14. Quentin Grimes had 13. Kelly Oubre had 12, and Edgecombe had 11. Yeah, but when the majority of the times when Joel was in there, if we look at it, all these guys played way more minutes than Joel. Way more minutes, right, than Joel. So when Joel was in there, they're standing around watching him. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They are. And then when he's out, that's when they go out there and they're divvying it up and guys are flying around. So, you know, I don't know, more so than his being banged up. But they got to learn how to keep the offense flowing when he's out there too. They have to, because this slow up thing isn't working.
So do you have in your mind when it's time for people to panic, like in terms of really making this work, where there might be a window? And I'm not saying you're pushing them out the door now or anything like that, but I'll just say this. Right now with Joel Embiid, is there a moment where you think, all right, you give him a month, give him 2 months to try to get back into the swing of things, and then that's really the determining factor of whether or not this is what he is now, or whether or not he can get anything close to even an all-star style of play or production level of play when it comes to coming back from this surgery now, all the surgeries he's had on the knee over the last 2 years, over the last 14 months even. Is there a moment where you're going, all right, I'm going to give this a month, I'm going to give this 2 months, and then at that moment I'll be able to say this is Embiid, or, oh, Embiid's back to a very similar style and production that we saw before the knee surgery?
I mean, I think it's going to be hard for him to ever get back to who he was 100%. Right?
I agree with that.
I mean, because, you know, it's going to be hard. But and typically what they say is when you have a knee surgery like that, a major one or whatever, it takes about 1.5 years for you to get back to where you were. So we think about it. He had a major knee surgery. He came back, and then he had another knee surgery. So, you know, you would think that he's probably going to be 1 year away, right, from being that guy if he does come back. But then when you ask yourself if that is true, if that's not helping us out this season, if that is the case. Right. And I do think that, you know, if some people hitting the panic button to see who he is, you know, I mean, I think you give it another 3 weeks, I guess, at the, you know, to figure out, to see what they're going to do. But yeah, I mean, but the main thing is more so than I want to say worrying about like the knee. Now the knee is bad and the defense is bad, but the philosophy, like I'm telling you, dude, this is reminiscent of that year when he won, he got MVP, or no, the year he got hurt when he had 70 points against Wemby, right? Uh-huh. If you remember, the first 10 games of the season, everyone was out there eating. Guys were happy. They were winning games. And then all of a sudden it turned into the Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid show, right? And I would hate for this season to turn into that because I don't feel like that gives them their best opportunity to win. Now, again, like we talked about it, Joel is the Lamborghini. You keep the car, shiny, parked. You pull it out for big, for engagements. Well, I'm talking about the big games. You ride them for a little bit, when you need to, right? But for right now, it just seems like to me, I'm not saying gunning, but it is a two-man game as opposed to being, a buffet where everybody's eating. You know what I mean? More balanced.
A free-flowing, free-throwing,
free-flowing offense.
fun and gun, up-tempo offense.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, I'll tell you right now, Keith. I don't have a year in me when it comes to Joel Embiid. No one does. I know. Yeah. It's like we've just been here so often. We've watched that Lamborghini, unfortunately, stall out. So I'm watching these other. I don't know what's the other car we could go to here. Ferraris. I don't know cars. But what are these other cars? They want to go, man. They want pedal to the metal. And the Lamborghini's like, I'll be right there. I'll be right there, guys. So for me, I look at it like I give it a month essentially just to see how much he progresses. And it's not just a matter of going from 20 minutes to 23 minutes to 25 minutes. It's a matter of what I'm watching because I haven't seen that much of a difference. What if he's playing 20 minutes or he's playing 25 minutes? Like, I'm not going to say what's the word? I don't want to say out of shape because it's about being healthy, fatigue. I don't know, pushing his broadening, pushing his. I don't know, his levels a little further. I haven't seen that other than just playing more minutes. I need to see better minutes, not just more minutes. I need quality, not just quantity for me to really believe that. And I agree that he's not going to be competing for MVP awards anymore, but for me to at least to believe he could get close to, not at, but close to an all-star level of play. I think that's fair. I think if you're talking about the best he could possibly be from this moment forward, I think the MVP years are done, but I think in terms of competing for one, but I think a guy flirting with an all-star game again isn't outlandish when you think about what Joel Embiid could be in a month or two trying to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and like the one thing is really impacting VJ Edgecombe, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the not the knee injury, but VJ is a rookie, and he's going, and nobody's going to come out and say this and whatever, but the way that they're playing now is taken away from VJ. And I get what we're saying. He's a rookie, yada, yada. But, dude, in order for you to win, it's all about Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe right now. And then and he has to get the confidence up because, as much as they started off 4-0, and you have to give them credit, it was exciting, is everything. The schedule is only going to get tougher. So when it gets tougher, you want this guy to come in there with some moxie and be able to play. And guess what's going to happen? The teams who are playing a lot, the tougher opponents, they're all going to go after Joel Embiid on the defensive end because, we just talked about it. He doesn't look the same, and he's not jumping. He's not doing this and that. And just to say it, VJ Edgecombe, 17 points on 7 for 11 shooting. That's a great night, right?
Yeah.
But look, Marc, he only took one shot attempt in the fourth. As I told you, it was a 3-pointer that pulled the Sixers within 2 points with 51.4 seconds remaining, right? And there were also stretches where he got lost in the offense. So Nick Nurse said this: you got to learn these games come really fast in this league, like basically saying like he could have been more aggressive. He said, and you got to be able to get yourself ready to go physically, mentally. I think that was the same in Washington a little bit. I think we talked about the fact that he's a young guy. He's going to have to learn, lots to learn, right? But here's the thing is like what I talked about is tricky because he and Maxey are the Sixers' future. But Embiid, even though some people will disagree with me, he's still their best player. Like he's recognized as their best player, right? So he needs to get some touches and be heavily involved and stuff so he can regain his form, right? But at the same time, they got to do a better job of keeping Edgecombe involved. And this is what Nick said about that. Probably without looking at the film, I have to probably say that we didn't get into our spread type offense and give him enough chances, right? You know, when he did score, it was usually off of a kickback and boom, there it was downhill. We just couldn't do it enough. You're right. The thing is, you're supposed to spread the floor, give him these opportunities for where he goes in and dunks the ball on people. He gets threes, wide open threes, do all that other stuff. And like, you wonder why you're losing or you lost.
Yeah,
you know, you like, it's like, come on, man. You're not utilizing this guy to the enough. You're just not utilizing him enough.
Here's where I'm at with Embiid. I think the baton has been passed. I think Tyrese Maxey's the best player that the Sixers have. Maybe you'll see Joel Embiid grow to. I would have a hard time believing that Joel Embiid will ever get back to that status of being an MVP candidate. And I have a hard time also believing that he will be the 76ers best player this year, next year, the year after that, and the one more year after that he still has on his contract with the extension. So I just think Maxey is at the point where this is absolutely his team. And I know a lot of people will try to bring drama out of this and say that Joel Embiid's going to be, a bad teammate, or he's going to be complaining and it's going to shift the thing, shift the way the Sixers play. I don't think it's going to come down to that. I think that this only depends on how the 76ers play. If they're winning, then you're not going to have a problem. If they start losing and Joel Embiid's out of favor and he's not contributing the way he wants to, that might be a problem. But I don't see long stretches of losing because I do believe this 76ers team, which you saw in the first 4 games, is a lot more of what they'll be for the rest of the season as opposed to what you saw last night. But I do believe now, from a talent perspective, Tyrese Maxey's the best player on this team.
Yeah, and let me just stress what I'm talking about when I say stuff like how it was when he was in there comparable to when he wasn't. So we look at Tyrese Maxey. He had the most shot attempts on the Sixers. He had 16 shot attempts. He played 43 minutes and 38 seconds, right? Then you look at Joel Embiid. He had the second most shot attempts in 14. He played 25 minutes and 4 seconds. And then the third most was Quentin Grimes with 13 with 33 minutes, 12 seconds, right? Then after that, it was Kelly Oubre, 12 shots, 40 minutes, 34 seconds. And then it comes VJ Edgecombe was the last guy who had double-digit shot attempts, and he played 39 minutes and 44 seconds. So that's telling you that Joel was out there gunning when he was out there. Like, no offense to him, but he was out there gunning. It was all about him when he was in there. So, you look at it, you got, 39 minutes, 11 shot attempts, 40 minutes, 34 seconds, 12 shot attempts. Like, and it wasn't like these guys were shooting the ball poorly. Kelly Oubre shot the ball 50%, 6 for 12. My man was 7 for 11. So, you know what I mean? They shot the ball better than Joel, but Joel was just taking the shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you on that. Hey, we do thank you. By the way, thanks everyone in the chat. Let me get one or two in here. Sixers fourth quarter rotation short. Tiny guys in there. Thank you, Mr. Sandman.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You got to say this. Some of their players are hurt.
Okay, true. Nice with it says Embiid is definitely making the offense stagnant. That's certainly what it feels like. He needs to sit and heal. I think he's at the point. That's a good point by Nice with it, Keith. He's got to play. If you're going to have any chance of him getting through it, I don't think this is a matter of sitting out. I think that part of the rehab is over. It's a matter of getting back into the swing of things if you're going to get, anything good out of Embiid from this point on. Would you suggest that he sits, or would you suggest that he plays?
No, you got to play him, but you have to play him, but you got to play a certain way. You got to play a certain way, man. I mean, you just got to play a certain way. It's like you can't be switching it up. You got to decide. And I get it. You're going to need them for the playoff. You are. But at the same time, it's obvious. It's just obvious when he's in there and when he's out there, when he's not in there, like the way they play.
Fair enough. Thanks everybody in the chat. Hey, thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. For your second listen, go find Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Lloyd hosts the #1 fantasy basketball podcast, giving you daily tips and helping you win your league, all while making you the smarter NBA fan. Find Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Keith Pompey, I'm Marc Farzetta. We'll be back with you guys on Monday to break it down even further with your 10-9-8 76ers. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your Saturday, everybody. See you then.